Welcome back. Here with the mutual fund special on Money, Money, Money. We're asking both our experts to give us their top 5 fund picks, funds that you can invest in this current market and earn handsome returns. We've discussed the equity large cap category. Now it's time to talk about funds that primarily invest in mid cap or perhaps small cap companies. So Srikanth, I'll come back to you then. 2 more funds from the equity category that perhaps give you slightly higher return and also do give us the risk quotient then.
Sure. We look at it as, equity fund moderate risk, and that goes to what Hemant was referring to a few minutes back in terms of a diversified category, where you have a fund that invests quite a bit in large cap but has a significant exposure to the mid cap segment of the market as well. In this segment, we have Mirae Asset India Opportunities Fund. It has done brilliantly well in the last 2-3 years, and it's a multi-cap equity fund with a large cap oriented bias to in its portfolio. And it has beaten its benchmark of S&P BSE 200 consistently over multiple market phases, and it is very ideal for investors who want to own a fund that is predominantly large cap but also has significant exposure to the mid cap segment. This is the diversified segment fund.
So Srikanth, if I could just
high risk.
So Srikanth, if I could just come in on there on the Mirae Asset India Opportunities Fund, how long is the fund history? And again, in terms of returns, what have we seen in the recent past, just to sort of get a sense of the sort of returns one can expect hopefully in the future?
This fund has a 7-8 year history, so it's not a very recent fund or anything like that, but it's not one of those 15-20 year fund as well. It's a medium term history kind of a fund, and it has delivered around 26% in the last 3 years, which is as you can see a very good return for investors in this time period.
Okay, so that becomes your moderate risk sort of equity fund category. Now, what about the high risk takers? What sort of an equity fund would you advise?
And you would have to go to a mid-cap fund in that category, and our choice there is HDFC Mid-Cap Opportunities Fund. It's a brilliant fund, and it has done very well in, it is one of those funds that goes after quality in the mid-cap segment, and our bias as a advisory house has always been to tend a little conservatively in terms of our equity fund recommendations. And when it comes to high risk funds, we go after funds, we recommend funds that go after quality in the market, and HDFC Mid-Cap Opportunities Fund has proven itself again and again that it would go after quality in this segment, and it has, because of that, it has been able to deliver good returns in good markets, but relative to its peers, been able to contain the downside in not so good markets as well. So HDFC Mid-Cap Opportunities is our pick there. And
average returns in the last couple of years?
Average returns is fantastic. It's actually 39%.
Oh, phenomenal.
In the last 3 years.
All right, okay. So, Mr. Rustagi, 2 more equity funds from your perspective as well, something which is maybe a little bit of a medium risk and something which would be high risk, hopefully, ensuring high returns as well.
My first recommendation in this segment would be, ICICI Value Discovery Fund. As you can see from the name, it's a value fund. It's basically look to invest in companies which are fundamentally very strong company, which are likely to benefit from what is going to happen in the economy going forward. It basically has no particular bias. It's not that it's looking at one segment. So currently, for example, the fund manager feels that there is value in buying large cap. So he has invested around 60% in large cap. The rest of it goes into mid cap and small cap. That's the good thing about it. So it's looking at sector, it's looking at segment, is looking at stocks. So this is
entirely at the fund manager's discretion. There is no mandate that it has to be so much percent in large cap or so much percentage in mid cap or small cap.
Because the mandate that you're given to him is that find value for me.
Right.
So wherever he sees the value, he
across
will
sectors,
invest.
across different market capitalizations.
Which is the best thing about this fund. This fund has done very well.
If you could quantify that for us.
It has a track record of roughly around 1 decade. Okay, and if you really compare that with any multi-cap fund or any other category, it has done much better than those. And the fact is that being a value fund, I would recommend this fund only for those investors who already have built a portfolio plain vanilla equity fund, which means you have large cap, mid cap and those kind of fund. Now you're looking at something which can maybe add some alpha to your portfolio. The second fund would be in this category, Franklin India Smaller Companies Fund. Again, this is a fund which invests in smaller companies in both small as well as mid cap segment. Basically, how they define the smaller company is they're looking at the companies. For example, if you look at CNX 500, the companies that have a market cap of at below the 100th company in that particular index. Okay. So that is the investment universe. It's again meant for people who are experienced investors who understand that if you go into this segment, because the segment tends to be more volatile than the large cap and mid cap, because this is not a pure mid cap fund. It has more exposure to small cap, some exposure to mid cap.
Would you say in terms of the risk gauge or the risk meter, it would be slightly higher risk than the ICICI Value Discovery?
It has. It has. But again, it depends on how do you pick your stocks, because in this segment, the major differentiation between the fund is going to be how you pick your stock. And another important point is in this segment, liquidity can be an issue. So if this fund, if you look at the portfolio, is a fairly well diversified portfolio across sectors, across industries, and also the fact that it has done very well compared to its peer group in terms of consistency of return. So I believe that someone who's looking at generating higher return in the overall portfolio, fully understanding what are the risks associated with these two segments, should certainly be looking at this one.
Would you offhand recall the rough average returns for both the ICICI Value Discovery as well as the Franklin Fund?
Well, we know that in the last couple of years, basically, if you look at this segment has done pretty well. So the returns have ranged from 36% to 40-42% at times. Okay, so that is the kind of return the fund has been.
Okay, so that's the sort of alpha that you would always want in your portfolio. On that note, we'll take a quick break. Now you have the equity fund ideas for your portfolio. It's time to take a look at perhaps hybrid funds, a little bit of debt exposure, also some pure debt funds. We'll be right back after the break.